Okay, hello everybody. This is Mitch Weisberg. I'm here with Mind Shifting Monday with Mitch, and my guest today is Paula Washington. We're going to be talking about design your next chapter, life, leadership, and legacy, and just a little bit about Paula. She is an MBA and an MS. Oops, sorry, one second. I just realized that I'm also listening on LinkedIn, and so that, oops, or maybe I'm listening on Substack. There. Okay. So now I'm out of Substack. I'm out of LinkedIn, and here and this is what you get for going live, right? Something always happens. Anyhow, welcome to Mind Shifting Monday with Mitch, and Paula is also an author. She has over 30 years helping people, but focusing on accomplished women navigate pivotal transitions in career, business, and life. Um, Her book is called The Encore Playbook, which I have and I've been reading, and she has a journal right here. Um, that's a companion to the book. And Paula, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mitch. I thoroughly enjoy our conversations. I'm excited today about design your next chapter because that's, right in my wheelhouse.
And how was my introduction? Were the parts about that you want to let people know about before we actually start talking about designing your next chapter? Anything that you'd
Well,
like to
I
say?
think you shared everything. I mean, every chapter. Um, how all this got started, actually, I was downsized a couple of times from corporate, and the last time, of course, I'm overqualified and all that jazz, right? And so it's like,
Hmm.
okay, what are you going to do? Um, do what I always do. I have my courses, I have this, that, and the other. So I go to the SBA to get a loan for my business, and they didn't have a program for women in entrepreneurship. Of course, I have a entrepreneur program in my briefcase because I always travel with everything. And I ended up being the spokesperson for their program, for their women's program for that season. And it was a really great experience for me, encouraging. I didn't have to get a loan because I got a contract. I got paid for that day as well. And so that started that whole snowball effect from going from, corporate into business ownership and what that looks like and being able to help others transition as well.
And just that shows just kind of an example of leadership. But you're not the first generation of leadership in your family, right? It's like four generations, and I was just kind of awestruck. So maybe you can just go back and let people know about your great grandmother, your grandma, your mom.
Okay, well, I'll share about that. It's so interesting. When I was writing the Encore playbook, I was like, okay, how did I get here? And not that I can't track my own steps, but why am I here? What is the force behind me? So when I was doing the research and I found out my grandmother graduated in 1894 from college, when we weren't supposed to be there, and it was very hard for women to go to school at that time. That was exciting. And she was also cum laude. And then my grandmother graduated from Juilliard in New York as a concert pianist, as well as a real estate broker, because um, people of color weren't able to purchase their homes. And so even my grandparents, great grandparents, and so my great grandfather had to have his attorney purchase it. So she sold homes to people that would not be able to live in certain neighborhoods. And then my mom was the first female manager in a branch of a major bank in New York. And there were no other women in there but the tellers at a time that, first of all, she's not supposed to be in management. And as a woman of color, that's another layer. And it was quite challenging for her. But, looking back at their time and seeing what they went through to be who they were, it wasn't a choice of, oh, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. It was, no, this is what I want to do and I'm just going to go for it. And that's it. They didn't
And
sit whine about, oh, this and that and the other thing. No, We don't have the luxury of time to whine. We have to get up, make a plan, and go for it.
And it just seemed to me as we were talking a few weeks ago that um, we're pretty much aligned that the way you're coaching and your mindset and the mindsets of your forebears um, align so well with mind shifting, which is what I'm trying to help people do also. That I thought that having a conversation with you would be really interesting for people. So one of the things that you mentioned was the power of alignment, and you talk about it in your book also. Maybe you want to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. Alignment is like, you take a circle, right? And
Hmm.
we have all of our roles. Now, we as women, we think in a circle because we're thinking about a lot of different things, even though we may only be focused on one thing. But for the sake of everybody today, we're going to look at a circle. We're going to look at all of our roles in that circle. And we may think about touching each one of those roles, but only focusing on one or two. But everything is in alignment in that we're not forgetting about what it is. We're not addressing it. We know when to address it, how to address it, and what's the next step for it. But what needs to move first in order for those other roles to flow into alignment? So now we have one line from a circle for each thing that we're going to do. When I left corporate and I started my business, you know, it was a big transition because the language is different. Entrepreneurs operate at a very different way than corporate employees. So I had to learn a lot of different things. And I had to come in alignment with that. I had to also come in alignment with some personal challenges that I had in my life as well. And life happens. And in doing those things, I discovered I was better um, losing all that I did at the time because it allowed me to elevate to become who I am today. So when we're talking about alignment, it's strategically looking at what works, what may not work going forward, and I don't need to take with me, and then what is the new going to look like, and what do I want it to look like, and that goes back to the Encore framework as well.
And it seems, one of the things you talked about it as you starting with that circle and you're drawing the lines of the things that you're going to move forward with, and kind of ending the lines for the things that you're not moving forward with, and that could be fear inducing for a lot of people, right?
Yes. Well, I share with everybody, a lot of us have different fears from various things,
Hmm.
but our confidence is clear when we know who we are and we align with who we are. Yes, when you try something new, you're definitely going to have a little apprehension because you never did it before. But does that mean that you're a failure or that your feelings aren't real? No, it just means I'm going to do it anyway. You know, fear or not, I'm going to do it anyway because why? I can bet on myself. I know I'm good at who I am,
Hmm.
regardless of whether you have constituents around cheering you on or not. You know that there are certain basic things that you have in your character and your talents and your skills that you do exceptionally well. So whatever the new thing is, you can do it. I mean, I didn't think I'd write two books in one year, especially one
Wow.
was in June and another one was in December. I mean, that's a thing.
Hmm.
But when the clients asked for it, my old clients wanted it. So I put it together and we did it and had it out by Christmas. You know, who does that? But we can't do things when we put everything else is in alignment and we have the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to get this done. Now, I was exhausted by the time I finished. Make no mistake about it.
Right.
I was tired, but I got it done. I'm proud of it. I'm excited because we have the workshop coming up, and we're going to be taking the women through the steps and stuff like that. So it's really an exciting time.
In your book, and when we were just talking about fear and getting over it, one of the things that you mentioned is to be able to treat fear as information and not as a roadblock. And that fits like so well into what we're trying to do with mind shifting also. Do you think, and I know that you help your clients through this, is there something that you can help our listeners to through, like how do you change from thinking of fear as a roadblock versus thinking of fear as information?
Well, when you look at fear, It's either sometimes it's innate in us to protect us, or it's hot and cold. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the hesitation or the procrastination. I tried it and it didn't work before. A deal fell through, and I'm not doing this again.
Mhm.
But if inside you're constantly push something in you is pushing you to move forward, then it wasn't actually what you did that was wrong. It was the strategy.
Mhm.
You're not the failure. People that you met and what you went through wasn't the failure. The strategy that you used didn't work, or it could be the wrong time. So either one of those were the lessons that you learned, and you may not have been mature. I know that there were times I had contracts that I wasn't mature enough, or my team wasn't mature enough to really work with. But after it was over, I did what I needed to do with the client and everything and all of that and settled those things, and realized the next time this opportunity comes, I'm going to make sure I have these certain things in place.
Mhm.
Case in point, I did have a client where we did do a contract. We didn't do the best work we could have done, and I didn't require the client to continue to pay us because it wasn't up to par as what they really needed. And so I paid my team, everybody, whatever. 2 years later, I ran into them at an event or something like that, and they asked me to do another project with them. And I did, and we did very well. It lasted about 2 or 3 years. And so you never know your work ethic, your integrity, and all of the things that align in who you are is what people buy. Yes, they buy your services. Yes, they want the output. Of course they want that. But if you own it, okay, I missed it. And you make it right, you'll be surprised what happens on the other side. So fearful of, I could have been afraid when I saw them at the event. Well, what are they going to think? Should I say hello? Should I not say hello? Should I back up? Should I go? All that crazy stuff. We overthink too much, clogs up the brain.
And I'm just thinking, going back to the time where you're working with them the first time and you realize that things aren't going as well as they would have liked or that you would have liked. Like there, that could be that could cause a lot of people to go defensive. And yet you seem to be able to overcome that and kind of stealing something from your book, like what's your next step type of attitude, rather than like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What am I going to do? It's like, okay, here's the situation, which again comes, you know, it's so much aligned with mind shifting, but it was amazing. Like you could do this for yourself, and my guess is that you help your clients do that in their lives also as they're considering, you know, what 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 they should be doing, or if they're feeling stuck. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? We don't have time to sit there and think about it. You know what I mean? We don't have time to sit and mull over the problem or the situation. This is what it is. Yeah, maybe when I get home, I may cry about it and this, and that, and the other thing. But in the moment, I have to make a decision. Okay, let me go in there and have this conversation with them. It's a hard conversation, but we're going to have it. We have that conversation. They understand it. This is the remedy and the solution they came up with. It works for everybody, and this is what we're going to do. And that's how we move forward in that situation. And in many other situations, you can move forward in that same way. Well, I think we're frozen, everybody. If you can still hear me, Mitch will be back in a moment, I guess. Well, I could move on with Design Your Next Chapter, Mind Shifting Monday. What I can share with you is that when we're talking about mind shifting, sometimes it's about having a strategy or a formula or a direction in which you want to go. And when I wrote the Encore Playbook, I created a formula, sort of a framework, if you will, for that particular direction that was helping people move forward in. And one of those things was actually to be able to create this framework, starting with E is for exit with intention, N is for navigating the new, and C is for commit, communicate, equal authentic connections, and O is for opportunity, uh, be able to create those opportunities, recognize the opportunities, and actually seize them. There are sometimes, we see a lot of things or miss a lot of things because we're not paying attention or we're not focused. And so being able to align yourself with recognizing opportunities are going to come to me, I just have to be able to see them, is one of those things. And then R is for relevance. You got to be relevant to the time you're in, to the program that you're looking to move forward in doing, whether it's a business, whether it's a job, whatever it is. And then also, we're looking at E is for excellence, that your standard of excellence. What are you the go to person for, given your certain skill set? No one else does it better than you. And when we're looking at all of the whole word encore, one of the funniest things that I experienced with the N, which is for navigating the new, after the crazy and the chaos, I realized I created chaos and I created um, the frying pan and the fire at the same time. And I just got a message from Mitch that his system just crashed. So I guess I will be carrying the rest of this talk with you guys by myself. So anyway, um, when doing, when I was thinking about the frying pan and the fire and the crazy and the chaos, all of that together, creating that whole encore gives you a flow and a framework of what's next and how to move forward. And so in the playbook that I created for, women to look at everything that they've done, all of their assets, all of their experience, because experience doesn't have an expiration date. We take everything that we know, we package it, we leverage it, and then we look at what do I really want to do? What's going to work for me going forward? And what do I really not want to do as well? It's always important to know what you don't want to do, because then you will be more productive in the things that you do and pursue, and the people that you allow in your life, the relationships that you need to have and you need to draw to you to succeed in the areas you need to go. You may need new mentors, you may need new people or anything. Hi, Mitch, you're back. I was
Yeah,
just carrying the show until you got back.
that's what somebody texted me, and my internet crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so last week I did this in Florida, and my internet crashed in Florida, and today my internet crashed here. So how's the show going then?
I don't know. I guess they'll let you know. I shared with them the Encore framework, and so I hope I was able to give them some information that they could understand as to why we're talking about design your next chapter, what
Hmm.
having a framework and a formula, having a strategy, how that works, and then how that also works with mind shifting, because your perspective has to change. When you go from one decade to the next, you're not the same person. So, and also the skills and talents that you had in one stage of life may not be necessary for the next stage in life, or it might be. We don't know.
Hmm.
But now that we're all in this AI place, and we have to learn that along with everything else,
Right.
how about we need to know what we're good at, and then we staff our weaknesses with what we're not. You know, I got this. I have some challenges with my technology and stuff like that, and I like to have somebody help me with that, with certain
Hmm.
areas that I just know I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to work. So
And that's part of figuring out what you're good at, what you're going to do, what you're not good at, and as you say in the book, to do that with clarity, courage, and consistency. Right.
yes, it's extremely important to be consistent. In order to build anything, especially a business, continuity is key. If you have clarity and you're confident and you've got that continuity and you're intentional, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have challenges. You're always going to have challenges. Are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely. That's what life is about. But the good thing about it is every day you show up, every day you gain ground. Every day opportunity comes to you. Every day you learn something new. And you never know what resource or relationship will show itself that day. So if you don't show up, you don't know what you missed.
So as you think about people, going through these challenges, what's a major limiting belief or pattern you see people fall into today, and what's one practical way to begin shifting from it?
I'm not enough. They'll never tell
I'm
you.
I'm not enough. Yeah, right.
They'll never tell you that they're not enough. They'll never say that, they have a fear of missing out or this or that, or all those other things. It comes from the core belief that I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have this. I don't know. Because they're instead of looking in, they're comparing themselves to external, and you can't. It's like every day another AI tool comes out. Does that mean I'm not going to work with what I have already that I finally learned how to use? No, I'm going to keep what I know how to do, and I'll put those things on the side. So understanding that you are enough for who you are, and when you've gotten to the stage of life that you've gotten to successfully, you ought to give yourself an Oscar for your own performance. And I have that in my journal where the women draw
Right.
out their Oscar. Yeah, it's in there. It's a great exercise. It's going to be a lot of fun next week when we do it. But yes, because when you get to a certain stage in life, especially us in those wonderful golden years, this is the best time of our life. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks or says. I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because we are doing and being the best that we were born to be at this time. And the wisdom that we gain, the experience that we gain. Oh, I may not know the tools and technology, but one thing I can tell you is how to do something and how to make it work.
Hmm.
And so putting those two together and having those intergenerational conversations, that eliminates a lot of fear sometimes. And it builds confidence on both sides.
So if I felt like I wanted to apply for a particular job, and then I look at the job and I look around at the people who may have that job, and I say, something, I'm just not good enough, or I can't do this. Is there a short thing that you would, or is there a relatively quick thing that you would say to me to change, to turn me around, to help me turn myself around?
Absolutely. Well, who said you couldn't do it? You said you couldn't do it, but you've done the job you did. What if you do it well? I had a contract that I had an opportunity to apply for RFP and I didn't because everybody else around me, I
Hmm.
thought, I wasn't good enough or I didn't have the business. All of them were experts. Long story short, nobody got granted that RFP.
Hmm.
It was $25,000. Okay, no one got granted. Now, if I threw my hat in the ring at that time, I could have gotten it, but I'll never know.
Right.
So after that time, I said, I don't care what it is, I'm going to go for it
Hmm.
because the best thing that can happen is that I landed.
And my guess is you also use kind of a technique, or more than I guess. I know you use a technique that we also talk about it in mind shifting, which is when a person says, I can't do this, is you walk them through the successes that they've already had, and how at each one of those times where that they look at themselves as having succeeded at something, there was a time in that where they also thought that they couldn't do it, and they were able to overcome it, and that this is just another time. And
Exactly.
walking people through their own experiences, it's a great confidence booster, right?
Absolutely. Because what I realized in my life, when I bet on myself, I win. When I listen to other people and I
Hmm.
follow everybody else's plan, I get off track and nothing works. So all I have is me. I'm going to bet on me and I'm going to win every time. And however the outcome is, I'm not responsible for that. I'm only responsible to do it, to put it out there. So if the output is excellent and quality, and for some reason it doesn't take at that moment, it might not be the next time, right time. But how many proposals have we put together and then somebody maybe a year or two later asks us for something, we already got it packaged and ready to go. So
Right.
we always win. if we're open.
Yeah. And then, as we're drawing, I guess we have about 5 or 6 more minutes, but, you know, is there like a belief or interpretation about a success or growth that you'd like to address with listeners or help them through today?
A belief
Or
or
interpretation about success or growth that you'd like to address for listeners today?
what if I show up and I do? What if you show up and just do you?
Hmm.
What if you show up 100 and walk in that room and see how many people you might have missed or what opportunities you may have missed if you went in with your head down? What if you just walked in like you were going in with 1,000 people behind you pushing you forward? I remember there was a meeting I had to go to, and I had submitted a grant proposal, and my mother said, "We are all behind you." And when she said that at the time, I didn't realize what she really meant. She was talking about not just her, but the family and everybody else that's gone.
Hmm.
So whatever happens, we're all behind you. We're all here. So I was walking in the room for the presentation to do what I had to do, knowing that they were all cheering me on. And I'll never forget that moment because that moment kind of shapes me in a lot of times when I feel like I'm by myself and there's nobody
Hmm.
there. And
Wow.
perhaps you may not have had people to help you. Perhaps you're the trailblazer or pioneer to pave the way for others. Perhaps you're the one that's chose to be the path maker for other people to lead in an area that you've never been before, they've never been before, but your experience is unique and they need that help.
Yeah.
Perhaps you were chosen to do just that.
It sounds to me so much like something in Mind Shifting we saw, success anticipation, where you said, as you said in the beginning, it's like, well, what if you did it and it worked? And then kind of walk the person through imagining how they're going to feel after it works. Like, how does it feel to having, just imagine you've achieved this now. How does it feel how does it feel right now? What are you celebrating? What are your emotions now that you've done this? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And by walking people through, you know, um, imagining what it's like to be successful, you're making it much more likely that they will be successful and diminishing their fears because your kind of imagination and memories basically comes from the same parts of the brain.
Absolutely. And really, success is personal. What is success to you? What does it represent? Does it mean showing up and being 100 and walking through it? Or is it always has to be material and the outcome? What if it's just about you being you and elevating to the highest person you could be and then receiving the what you were looking for
Wow,
or
what a
what you
what a
were expecting? Yeah.
what a wonderful message. Now, you mentioned towards the beginning of a workshop that's coming up. Can you just what is that work? What is the workshop?
Oh, it's redefining your leadership for 2026 and beyond.
Hmm.
That's where we'll be using the Reset Journal, and you'll receive a life and a strategic life and business plan outline for 2026 and beyond. We're going to be using that book and some of the things from the Encore Playbook as well. That's going to be February 21st, 28th, and March 7th and 14th. And it's on my website at paulawashington.com. It's on my LinkedIn as well at Paula Washington MBA MS. And you can find it on my Instagram at I am Paula Washington also. And this workshop is really exciting to me. One, we're doing an early bird special this week. The price is $497, regularly $597. But I am going to offer for the first 10 registrants a session with me that after the first two sessions, we're actually going to align their strategic life with their business together so that when they finish at the end, they are a little ahead in being able to put that presentation together. So I'm excited to see all of the ladies progress in that area. I have a person who's in another country, and she contacted me. She said, "Oh, I was reading a book and I realized I had to change my business model." I said, "Yes, but you don't have to change the name of the company, because what you change the model to is really the next level of who you are and the service you have to offer." So I sent her some suggestions to work on, so that when she comes to class on the first day, she'll be ready to share with that and get started with it. That was real exciting. I love that kind of stuff.
You know, so many people give workshops and they're basically sitting and listening to somebody talk, but this sounds like it's really interactive because you're coaching people through the changes that they need to make, and by they're entering things and journaling about it. It you're using all of the different senses so that they can make really meaningful change instead of just sitting and listening to some motivational speaker and then going back and not knowing what to do. They're going to have a plan. They're going to feel that it's possible, and they're going to know what to do when they finish the workshop. That sounds fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're going to present to their peers. And then we have the community that starts after that, where they go into that as well. And they get to color. They're going to color. They're
Mhm.
going to, use their markers and all kinds of things. If they want to paint in their little, when they're drawing their little stuff, they can do that. It's going to be really, really fun. I love that kind of stuff when we get to play and do those kind of things. And although it's virtually, it's kind of cool because everybody can see what they're doing on their desk and stuff like that. We have really a lot of fun games and stuff that I'm looking forward to.
And they can find that at www.paulawashington.com, right?
Correct. On the events, and you just click on it and you'll get all the information. And you can sign up. Both of the books who are available in ebook for you to download, and you can have those whether you want to print them or whatever, or you can order them from Amazon, and all that information is there. But the ebooks are given to you for free.
Oh,
It's
great.
included in the price. Yes.
Okay, so anything that you want to leave people with before we end the stream?
Well, was a wonderful time talking with you, Mitch. I always enjoy when we have our mind shifting conversations. And I wish that everyone for 2026 would just own their own truth and go for it. This is the year of the fire horse, I understand.
Hmm.
So get your gallop on and go.
Well, thank you, and thank everybody for listening and watching the repeat. And this is Mitch Weisberg. Hope to see you all next Monday, and encourage anybody to look into Paula's workshop on the February 21st. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Take care.